What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing a bit of an unusual schedule in terms of bringing you this Pittsburgh Pirates franchise video. The reason being is that my schedule is going to be spotty for the next couple of days, so I may or may not be able to upload. So while I have the time today, I'm going to try to get you guys a video. So with that being said, we're going to cover today the basically the month of June and up to the All-Star break here in MLB The Show 20 in our Pittsburgh Pirates franchise. Obviously, we're in the year 2022, and we're, a good part of our way through our journey to try and build a dominant dynasty type of team here in MLB The Show 20 with this franchise. So we have a couple of things to update you guys on. Not a whole lot, just mainly the players that made the All-Star break, the fact that we signed certain draft picks. We did make one call up and sent one player down that you guys might have been aware of who we were going to send down after the last video, and things like that. So let's go ahead and we'll first recap the schedule through the month of June and into July. We still played pretty strong. We picked up a few more losses. Obviously, we left off with the St. Louis game on the 2nd because that was the draft date. But after that St. Louis game, we went on in the rest of this 4-game series to sweep them, which is a really good way to start the month. And then we went to play Washington. We got a 2-game out of 3 series win on that one. We played Milwaukee, where we actually got swept in a 2-game series. We went to play Miami, where we won 2 out of 3. Toronto following that, where we lost 2 out of 3, so we picked up, aside from this sweep, another series loss. And then we played St. Louis again, which was a completely different result. So we swept St. Louis the first series here in this month, and then we came back to play them again, and in a few close games, we actually got swept by St. Louis, which was an interesting result. We went to play Baltimore. That one was no surprise. Baltimore is actually kind of getting back on track as a franchise in here, which is cool to see in the year 2022. Hopefully by that point they are getting back on track in real life as a franchise. They are 49-46. We did sweep them though because we are a much better team. We went to play Chicago in a 4-game series where we swept them 4 games in a row. Then approaching the All-Star break, we took a bit of a nosedive. We played Boston. We lost 2 out of 3, so we got a series loss there. Then we got swept by Kansas City. These are pretty good teams with Boston. I mean, Boston's kind of fallen off a little bit. Kansas City has kind of built themselves back up. Luckily, we did get to reclaim a little bit of momentum going into the All-Star break by getting a 3-game series sweep against the New York Mets. What I will say is that I want to jump into the All-Star game. I don't believe we had anybody in the Home Run Derby, but I'm not gonna play this game, but I want to go in and actually just show you guys who made the All-Star game for us. So if I go into play full game, I'll be able to look at the roster and everything and show you. So on the pitching front, Mitch Keller is the only starting pitcher that made it for us, and as you guys might be aware, Keone Kela was bound to make it as well. So those are our pitching representatives in the All-Star game, which is a pretty consistent thing considering Mitch Keller won the Cy Young last year. Good to see that he's back there again this year and playing at the same pace. Keone Kela continues to just be maybe the best reliever in the entire league, and he's making the All-Star game again. So we're going to go ahead and look at the actual roster here. Some of the players that made it for us, I think we're only represented by actually Brian Reynolds and Josh Bell, but those are 2 really good names to have in there, and I'm really happy about the fact that Josh Bell has kind of, started to actually realize his potential. And I know I've said that in every video so far this season, but by 2022, you would expect Josh Bell to be a perennial All-Star player. So, being that he's playing at that level is really nice to see. I'm hoping that we can maybe get an MVP with him or something like that. Maybe even Brian Reynolds could sneak in there as an MVP candidate. I believe other than that, we do not have anybody representing us in the All-Star game. I believe those are our All-Star representatives, so that is the recap on that. And then we'll go ahead, we'll take a look at players' performances. I do want to say that with the draft picks, we did decide to sign all these draft picks. Now, the first thing I did was I signed Soriano, I signed Brian Ting, I signed Cordero, and I signed Cox. I was a little bit up in the air about whether I wanted to sign some of these other guys. I think I did immediately sign Brett Ross because for being a 19-year-old player with that type of athleticism and a good bat, I figure he'll be able to make his way up through the system. So I did sign Brett Ross lost right away. And then I think I was just hesitant to sign Rene Villarreal and Quentin Colvin. I did end up deciding to sign them, but that could force our hand to make some decisions with our prospects later on in the offseason. Aside from that, I believe that the only other things that we have to cover up to this point are how our players are performing and the person that we actually did call up recently. So what you guys will remember is on the relief staff, Touki Toussaint was playing pretty poorly for us, so we ended up deciding to send him down. Just because, he was getting a significant number of innings pitched, but for whatever reason, he was giving up a ton of runs. So I think he needs a little bit more time down there in AAA. Somebody that I'm really excited for that is finally getting an opportunity for us, and I've kept him around for a long time with the hopes that he would finally get a shot for us, is Matt Eckelman. And I know that he's 28 years old at this point, but Matt Eckelman, I think, has done a really good job for us in the minor leagues. He's always had a pretty solid ERA and has just slowly, steadily climbed his way up the ranks. He's not one of these guys that has, super high potential or anything like that, but he has slowly made his way up to hopefully MLB caliber. So we're going to be up here with Matt Eckelman for a while to see how he does. So as you guys can see, he's progressed really well. He's got massive boosts in all of his categories this year, which is really nice to see. I kind of went down there this year because I figured this is kind of his shot, and I've played a little bit with him. And I've also, in addition to that kind of focus, trained him with the training that you can do in here. So I think that's why he's getting better bonuses, and he's kind of finally getting up into the low 70s. So I'm hoping he can do well for us. Obviously, that's not guaranteed. We might have to send him down if he plays poorly and bring up somebody else that we've had up before, which would be probably Hunter Harvey, because he does have that MLB experience and his ERA is doing pretty well. So that's pretty significant. The other things to update on, I guess I should talk about the injuries, because we do have at least one or two significant injuries going on the injured list here. Yeah, so we have a closing pitching prospect, Rob Kloboff, who's out for a very short injury. But Prince Hoff, who was, I believe, our #1 pick last year or the year before, has a fractured forearm, which is a little bit unfortunate. And so he was able to come off the 60-day injured list, and it turns out he's still injured for 1 to 2 months. So he's going to be around on the injured list for quite a while. And that one hurts us a little bit, but that's kind of the only major injury on the injury front to talk about. In terms of league leaders, we don't have anybody on the RBI category leading, but Brian Reynolds is really close to Acuna Jr. Mitch Keller is leading in strikeouts again, which is really nice to see. Pretty much all on his own. I haven't been playing his games or anything, so that's really nice to see that he's actually doing that all on his own. We do have Brian Reynolds and Josh Bell in second and third place for the batting title right now, which is really good. And Brendan McKay has 11 pitching wins, so he's up there in that category. And that's pretty much all there is to discuss with that. Let's talk about how our players have performed since we've last updated you guys. Mitch Keller has a 3.13 ERA, which isn't too bad. I mean, obviously he's 11-2, and he has the league lead in strikeouts. So, I mean, you can't complain with a 3.13 ERA. Jamison Tyone is performing pretty well this season, but picking up a couple losses. So his ERA is higher than I expected it to be, picking up 5 losses with that 7-5 record. But, the losses have to come at some point, and it just so happens that maybe he's not getting as much support as the other guys are. Noah Syndergaard is doing pretty well with a 3.75 ERA with a bunch of strikeouts and a 10-4 record. Brendan McKay continues to do really well for us with an 11-4 record and a 3.36 ERA. And Braxton Ashcraft continues to do, about what we would expect from him, and he continues to develop as a player with a 4.22 ERA and an 8-4 record. In terms of our relief pitchers, we did talk about potentially trading guys away and maybe making moves in terms of the relief staff. Aaron Bummer has actually kind of declined for us. I don't really know what the reason is behind that, but he's down to an 85 overall. I think that he's just not getting enough innings pitched. I don't know why he's not rotating in and getting as many innings pitched. I'm thinking what I need to do is I probably need to have less relief pitchers up here and probably an extra bench guy. I don't really know. I might have to play with some things. Maybe Matt Eckelman will get sent back down, or maybe I'll trade somebody away before the trade deadline here. I think kind of what I want to do, honestly, and this isn't from this isn't a helping out my team perspective. This is more from a perspective of helping out a player that's done really well for us. Eliezer Hernandez has performed so well for us over the past few seasons. I feel like we kind of owe it to him to trade him to a team where he could be a starting pitcher and actually have that success that I think he would probably want. So from a perspective of that, just helping out a player that has done really well for us, I think that we could maybe stand to trade him to a team that could use him, and then that might free us up to maybe give some wiggle room to these players. I don't know exactly how that'll all work. Maybe Eckelman will play long reliever or something like that. I haven't completely decided on that, but for the most part, I mean, these relief pitchers are all playing really well. I believe Peter Fairbanks almost made the All-Star game. He got really close. Who else here has done really well? I mean, everybody has an ERA below 4, which is just, astounding. So everybody's done really well on the pitching front, especially in the bullpen. If we look at the lineup, though, I think everybody except for maybe 1 or 2 players has been continuing their hot streak. Kevin Newman's doing really well with a 281. Brandon Marsh, 336. Brian Reynolds, 340. Josh Bell, 335. O'Neal Cruz, it continues to pick it up and it continues to be on a hot streak at 263 with 17 home runs. JJ Bleday is the one that continues to struggle a little bit at the plate. So, I'm considering some options with him. I don't know if we need to just focus train him, or maybe I need to go in and player lock him to try and get his batting average up and get him to kind of develop in the batting categories, but we'll see what happens with him. Travis Swaggerty batting 268. Brian Hayes up to 252, and Sean Murphy at 264. So a pretty well-rounded performance from most of those guys. Andrew McCutchen continues to excel. He gets a ton of at-bats for us. He's got 202, and he's batting 322. So he is just playing lights out in his return to Pittsburgh, and it's phenomenal to see. Dalton Varsho batting 255. Jason Martin continues to bat well at 293, and so does Cole Tucker at 339. And it's not like these guys aren't getting significant playing time. I mean, Andrew McCutchen has 202 at-bats, Cole Tucker has 189, and Jason Martin has 116. So I think we've struck a really good balance with what we have up here at the major league level, and I don't really think that I need to tinker with anything at this point in time. Not with the lineup, not with the bench. What I will say is that, like I said, maybe it's worthwhile to move on from a relief pitcher and try to free up a spot so that I can bring somebody else up on the bench. I don't really know how I want to play it, but there are some options to consider there. If you guys have some advice for me or anything that you guys think could, help, make sure you leave that in the comment section. Leave a like on this video if you guys want to continue to receive updates from this franchise. Like I said, not too much to update you guys on at this point, but more to update you guys on as we continue to move forward. I'll see you guys in the next video. I hope you guys have a great night, and make sure you leave that feedback, like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. I'll see you guys.